Hey, good morning, everybody. Josh Pitts live here, and I'm excited to be chatting with you this morning. As I mentioned a couple times, going back to our daily live videos with myself, Josh Pitts with Shred Media, and I want to talk about something that is a really big deal right now. And I actually talked to a good friend this morning about this, and it's something that's come up time and time again. So I'm gonna hurry and crank this down so we can see all of our different broadcasts. Good morning, everybody on LinkedIn. Good morning, everybody on Facebook. Good morning on YouTube, Vimeo. Again, all across all our social channels here this morning. So thanks for everybody joining us. So here's an interesting topic and I talk about this a lot. There's a lot of people talking about this right now, but do you actually own your brand? Because I'm talking about it. Lots of people, I mean, Gary Vaynerchuk, everybody in the world, in the marketing world, in the social realm is talking about your personal brand. I talk about it all the time. How do you build your personal brand? What should you be talking about? Hey, good morning, Christia. Thanks for joining us. What's up? I hope you are having a great morning. And again, I'm jumping on all social channels here this morning. And to all you brokers out there, happy National Mortgage Broker Day. I know there's a lot of cool stuff going on, but I want to talk about this as we're going into it, not just National Mortgage Broker Day, but so I had a conversation to kind of lead in this. I'm not going to mention any names, but this isn't the first conversation I've had about this recently. I've actually had people reaching out saying, hey, Josh, I'm having some questions. My company that I work for right now is stating, and sorry, we're checking different channels to making sure we get all comments. Hey, hashtag Shred. Thanks for reminding me, David. I appreciate that. So if you're joining us now live, you can comment hashtag Shred. If you're joining us on the replay, hashtag Hustle, which is actually a perfect segue to what I want to talk about, because a brand, Shred, is a brand. You are technically a brand. And again, going back to branding yourself, building a brand, the one problem when it comes to building a brand is if you work for a company. So let's just use Shred for example. If Shred hires you as a loan officer, real estate agent, title rep, whatever it may be, if you are hired in a state which is an at-will state, which most states are. Let me share with you, there's about 9. There's Delaware, Florida, Georgia, Indiana, Louisiana, Massachusetts, Missouri, Montana, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, Texas, and Virginia are the only states that do not currently recognize the at-will. So, hey, good morning, Virgie. Good morning, Dal. Thanks for joining us. So those states are exempt from at-will. What does at-will actually mean? I'm not going to get into the legality side of it. We'll get an attorney on here to talk about it some other time. But really what it means is if you are hired, if you're actually hired to do a scope of work, if you're hired as a loan officer, if you're a W-2 employee for a company and you're in an at-will state, basically they own your brand. Truly, like that's just when it comes down to it, they actually own your brand. If you go and build let's just say, and I'll use a couple of brands and nothing against them. And I just know people have had problems in the past, but let's just take Josh Pitts, the mortgage guy. Let's say Shred hired me. I'm a mortgage company. Somebody brought me on to be a mortgage advisor, a loan officer. And I decide to brand myself as Josh Pitts, the mortgage guy. And I work for XYZ Mortgage. So XYZ Mortgage is happy with me. I'm out there building my brand. I'm doing great things. I'm bringing them business. I'm doing a lot of business. And then next thing I know, I decide that I want to leave companies. Well, I go to leave companies and XYZ Mortgage says, well, great, Josh, we appreciate you being here. We wish you the best all with going to your next company, but we actually own Josh Pitts, the mortgage guy. What are you talking about? I'm Josh Pitts, the mortgage guy. Well, you are, but because you work for us and it's an at-will state, we actually own your brand. Wait, what is that? Are you serious? And yes, I am being 100% serious. And we're seeing more and more of this as people are building brands, as companies are starting to see the value in brands. We're seeing more and more of this. And this was an actual discussion I had this morning with a professional within the industry, is that he's actually having to go to his company and having to defend this brand. He spent all his time building this brand, and now he has to actually go and defend it. He has to actually go and get an attorney involved and be able to protect this brand that he's built. So why am I bringing this up? Why am I talking about this? Because we are talking about brand building a lot right now. Jason and I and a lot of other people that we're involved with are talking about building a personal brand. So why I bring it up and what the takeaway for you today is, I'm all about CYA. Cover your ass. No matter what, even if you trust people, even if you are like, hey, it's my company, I'm good. You want to make sure you're having these discussions now, because the last thing you want is in a couple of years, you've built this incredibly powerful brand and you decide to leave, and the company you're with, even though you thought you were best friends, you thought it was awesome, they actually own your brand. So many of you know I've had to go through different brand changes through my career. I've learned the hard way. That's why I was sharing it with you now, so you don't make the same mistakes that we do. So if you're starting to build a brand, if you work for a company, if you're a W-2 employee, if you work in an at-will state, you need to have this conversation now. And hopefully it goes well. Hopefully you sit down with your boss, the owner, and say, hey, I'm looking to build my brand. I never plan on leaving, or I love being here, but I just want to make sure that I am protected. And why I even bring, again, if you decide branding, I've talked about this a lot too. Your brand and branding are two very different things. When it comes to your brand, I always recommend you are the brand. So Josh Pitts, that's the brand. Because even if I go anywhere else, if I go from XYZ to ABC Mortgage, if I've branded myself as Josh Pitts, that's who people are doing the business with. That's where the relationship is at. People will always stay with Josh Pitts. I'm the brand. I'm the person that people trust. They come to recognize. So I always hesitate when I hear people branding themselves as, the online mortgage expert or the millennial mortgage guy, or even one of my good friends, Dave Kritchmar, Dave the mortgage guy. You always have to be careful unless you actually own that company. If you're the sole owner of that entity in that company, then okay. But just be very, very cautious when it comes to branding yourself personally when you work for an entity. And I'm talking to loan officers, real estate, title, anybody and everybody within the industry, and even outside of the industry. As you build your personal brand, make sure you're having a very, very frank and honest conversation. Honesty is the best policy. Having these conversations, you may think like, well, wow, I don't want to open up a can of worms. Now is a way better time to do it than in 6 months, even as you've built your brand. You put all this time and this effort and this energy and money into building your brand. And then next thing you know, you go to make a change and that company holds your brand hostage. I don't want that for any of you. Even your own LinkedIn profile. That's actually a great comment, Matthew Holman. And yes, actually it is. Crazy enough that we had a whole nother discussion with some other influencers yesterday about LinkedIn and how companies can hold your social media profiles hostage. And LinkedIn in particular, sorry, I'm turning my head. It's funny, now I'm seeing myself. So my screen over here for LinkedIn is turned sideways. I don't know if you can see, I'll show you guys. So it's this, but it's actually turned this way. So anyway. That's why you see me turn into the left. That's why I do live. I don't care. I can mess up. It doesn't look perfect, and I'm okay with that. But so great comment. Yes, Matthew, they actually can hold your LinkedIn profile. They can hold your social media profile. If you build a Facebook page, it's just a business page of your brand, they can hold that hostage. So ultimately, I'm not trying to scare anybody. I just know that as our industry continues to evolve, continues to really change the way, this old mentality, this old mindset of how business is done, and the importance, the crucial nature of building a personal brand, just make sure you CYA, cover your ass. Everybody, just make sure and have those discussions right now. Sit down with your boss, sit down with your branch manager, and have these discussions just to make sure that, again, every relationship, every time I talk about this should be always mutually beneficial. I'm of the mentality of we all win together. My good friend Brad Raquel has always taught me that is we all win together. So you have to have that mentality. Sit down, talk about how you building your brand is going to be great for the company, but you just want to make sure it's your brand. So if the worst were to happen ever one day, you can still walk away with your brand intact, and it's your name. Again, it's your reputation on the line. So I want to have that discussion this morning because I know it's something I've been asked about a lot recently. If you have any questions about personal branding, building your brand, feel free to, you're more than welcome to question right now. Thanks, Matthew, for the question. Christy, thanks for the comment. Jonathan Diet, thanks for the comment as well. yeah, guys, hopefully this has been beneficial to you. And if you're starting to build your brand, starting to think about it, now's the time to have a discussion. Make sure, like I said, you start thinking about this now. If you need to get an attorney involved, definitely start reaching out, start setting up the proper channels. So if anything were to happen, again, I'm hoping anything never does, but unfortunately, we live in a world when people see the success that you're having, and many of you know I've talked about this before, it's happened to me. People see your success, they want to be able to capitalize. They want to be able to take advantage of a brand that you've worked so hard to build. So make sure you guys cover yourself with that. It is something that we should just don't think about. It is absolutely, and that's why I bring it up. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I don't know how to say your name. Hopefully I'm saying it right, Christia. Hopefully I said that right. It's something that we don't talk about. It's something that we're not thinking about. And that's why I want to share this morning, because I'm always talking about building a brand, but I'm not talking about how to protect that brand long-term. So that's why I want to do this video this morning. So with that, guys, I appreciate it. We try to keep these morning lives short, to the point, and hopefully you got some little bit of strategy, some tactics, if nothing else, some knowledge to make sure you protect you and your brand in the future. As always, I appreciate you. I love you, and I hope you have a great day.